How's everybody doing today? So we're on episode 7 of the Overwatch Coach, and we've got King's Row. We're in mid-platinum, lower mid-platinum, and we're getting some Winston and Torbjorn gameplay today. So, I haven't watched this video yet. I'm not sure which side or what hero we're getting first. The things I'd be looking for out of a Winston on King's Row. Basically, if we're playing on attack, I'm looking for a lot of in and out, getting in, diving, doing a little bit of damage, and then escaping, trying to create room for the team to push through the choke, harassing the backline, keeping the healers on edge, maybe harassing a sniper if they've got one, that sort of a thing. I'm assuming we're going to have Torb on defense. Maybe it'll be riding the cart too, who knows. Some say attack Torb is best Torb. But with Torbjorn, if it is on attack, keeping the turret going on the payload, but also not devoting too much time to the turret, making good shots with the left click, and knowing when a good opportunity to right click is, keeping healers armored, keeping yourself armored, not just throwing armor packs just all over the place for the tanks to grab when maybe the squishies need them more. If it's on defense, good positioning for the turret, and basically everything else that I just said for Torb on offense. So again, I haven't watched this video, so I'm not sure what we're exactly going to get here. So yeah, let's get into it. If anybody wants to submit a video for me to coach, all the information's on the screen. Make sure it's 480p or higher, preferably higher. No music playing in the background. Webcam is okay if you don't mind your face being on the screen. Make sure it's not covering anything important that we would need to be seeing. Hit tab multiple times throughout the game so we can kind of get an idea of stats and team compositions. Yeah, let's get started on the video.
What do I change to? For what, attacking or defending? Okay, right, okay, defending. Okay.
Oh, I forgot to add, this is a 6 versus 6 scrimmage, or it's an actual competitive like tournament game. So that's why it looks like it's quick play, why we've got all the numbers there, but it's actually this is a scrimmage. So I think this is going to be the first scrimmage that I'm coaching. All right, so it looks like we've got a team composition set. We are on defense, so it looks like we're doing the Torbjorn on defense. So this is what we've got, and I don't like this composition very much. You're relying heavily on turrets that don't move for doing all your DPS. So the reason I don't like this composition is this is going to be the little crappy Torbjorn turret that I'm drawing. So you can't pick what this shoots at. The nice thing about Torbjorn is you've also got him and his turret, where Bastion's just the turret, but at least he can choose what to shoot at. Now, you've got a lot of shield to protect both said turrets, and I don't know, I don't see a lot of damage really being done here. I see a dive comp being a really big problem for you guys. The other problem I have is I think you guys have really overdone the healing. Because there's so much shielding being done, I would honestly swap out the Ana for like a Zenyatta or a Lucio just to have that little extra bit of damage being done. The other problem that I have with this comp is there's no true hit scan. I mean, I guess Bastion kind of is a hit scan, but I feel like his turret spread is too wide to really be effective on a Pharah on this map, because they can really play far enough back, and there isn't any damage drop off for the Pharah. Where the bullets spread for a Bastion, it gets so spread out that he's just going to be raining bullets and stuff at the Pharah when there's going to be so much other stuff that is going to need his attention. So I see Pharah being a problem with this comp. So what I would say You could even try to go solo healer and maybe swap out for like a 76. And the reason I say 76 is if you swap Ana out for a 76, you're going to have the self-healing, so it's going to take a little bit of pressure off of your Mercy, having to worry about healing somebody else. Because the Bastion can self-heal a little bit too, but let's be real, when he's deployed and he needs to heal, odds are he also needs to be firing. So yeah, he can kind of keep himself afloat during the, maybe the lesser battles where the focus isn't solely on him, but any good team's going to focus on that Bastion first, especially with this team comp. So the Bastion really can't self-heal effectively with this team comp. So a 76, a Roadhog, a Mei for the Ana would be all good substitutions. Otherwise, I guess the other thing I'm really wondering about is how you guys are going to position this. So let's, rather than me talk about it, let's see what you guys actually do, and then I can kind of talk a little bit more about what you guys are doing well or not so well. This is a very gimmicky defense too, I have to say, and I would be surprised to see this in a tournament game or a scrimmage. I mean, if it's a scrimmage, I guess not so much. But if this is an actual tournament game, I'll have to look at your email again. I can't remember if this is a scrimmage or a tournament game. But if this is a tournament game, I'm a little surprised by this. Okay, so it looks like the Orisa and the Torbjorn are going to be working together. I'm kind of surprised you wouldn't put the Reinhardt up here. And maybe the Orisa with the Bastion. But let's see what you guys decide to do here. So, alright. Because you're up here, it's hard to see what everybody else is doing. I'm trying to see if I can pause this anywhere if we get any good line of sight, but I can't really tell where anybody is here. Alright, so you're just going to kind of spam the choke a little bit. The Orisa's a little bit slower on the shield. You call for a shield, which is good. I don't know what Orisa's doing here, though. Okay, so... Oh, she missed the shield. That's pretty poor. Alright, so this is already a lost fight. And it's because of basically what I figured it was going to be a problem. A dive comp. Genji. Genji took out the Mercy and the Bastion. And then somehow Zarya and Ana took out the Reinhardt. So that's half of your defense right there. And the other half's just sitting way on the top. Not really providing much cover. I mean, they're covering it, but any real team comp is going to be able to take out a Torb turret up top here. And then on top of that, you're asking a lot of yourself to be able to shoot up here. It can be done, especially if you've practiced it. But the one thing I don't like about Torbjorn being so high up is you're going to be really slow to collect scrap. And there's nobody to really give scrap to up here. So you're kind of taking one of the benefits of a Torbjorn and kind of throwing it out the window playing up here. If you set up, I'm trying to think, because I like having a Torb covering in here, actually, in the hotel. Having the Orisa shield, like, in that doorway right there, and then putting the turret right in there, that covers that choke right there pretty well. And then what you could have done is have the Reinhardt over here and the Bastion. It's my little crappy Bastion. Bastion set up there. So you've got a Torb turret covering the choke there. You've got Bastion covering there. And then on top of that, the Bastion could also kind of cover up here too. So then what you could do is you could put Ana up here. However, the only problem is you're going to have a sniper, so she's either going to have to cover like here or here, one or the other. And then she can kind of cover the Reinhardt and the Bastion, and then you've got Mercy over here. Or you could swap it too, but I don't know. My problem, I think, with this team comp mostly is the Ana and the Mercy, although I don't really like the double turret thing either, but let's say you guys want to stick with that. The healing or the double turret, in my opinion, should go, one or the other. So let's say you want to keep the turret thing going. Say you got an idea with that you think you can make work, and maybe you just got to work on the positioning like I'm suggesting. So what I would say, personally, what I would have done if you want to make the turret thing work is a Zenyatta instead of the Ana. And then I would either keep, and it depends how you want to work it. You either keep Mercy with the Bastion for the damage boost, because I'm guessing that was your reasoning for it, which is fine. I'm okay with that. So you put the Mercy with the Bastion, and then you keep the Zenyatta with the Orisa and the Torb, and then they just call out the discords, and you've got the damage boost. You still have some healing with everybody, and then you've got that extra little bit of DPS. I still think, I'm actually surprised they didn't run a Pharah, because this is a pretty good Pharah map. But if a team runs a Pharah on you, you guys are really in trouble. But at least with the positioning I suggested, that keeps the Bastion a little bit closer so that the bullet spread won't be as much of an issue. But there's still going to be a lot of places for Pharah to retreat to once she starts getting kind of peppered with the spray. So I'm still not really liking the strat, but I think the positioning could make it a little bit better. But let's watch how the rest of this plays out. So you just threw an armor pack down to nobody. You could have gave that to the Orisa before she dropped down, or you could have gave it to yourself. So you just basically suicide onto the point.
Do you want to ride?
Orisa's dead too. So she died after you. You guys could have coordinated that drop down a little bit better, but I don't think it would have made too much of a difference. Might have just bought you guys an extra couple seconds maybe, but whatever. Alright, so we're on Winston now. I think that's a pretty reasonable switch. Okay, so it looks like we've completely swapped team comps. So this is our first look at everybody's team comp, and I'm assuming this is basically what we're going to get for the rest of the match. Okay, so now we do have a Pharah. However, we have a 76, and an Ana can also kind of deal with it. Winston can also kind of deal with a Pharah a little bit. So I'd say we're okay. However, they also have a Mercy, so for anybody that's watched some of my previous videos, I'll recap one of the points I made. Whenever there's a Pharah and a Mercy, it's not a one-person job to take out the Pharah if the Mercy is covering the Pharah the majority of the time. You guys are basically making this a one-person job. Because you don't really want Ana focusing on the Pharah, you know, unless the battle's already kind of won, or if the Pharah is peaking a little bit too early and there's not a lot of other damage being done. The good thing is you've got another primary healer to kind of cover if the Ana has to focus on the Pharah. That's the good news. But I see the Pharah being a problem for you guys, but we'll have to see how this all plays out. The other thing that I see a problem here is Winston. You guys aren't running any obvious counters to their Winston. The good news is they're not running any obvious counters to your Winston, aside from maybe Pharah, depending on how they play. And it also depends on how good the aim of your soldier is. But I wouldn't be overly concerned about their Pharah on your Winston, but I could see that maybe being a problem depending on how well you guys are covering her. You guys are both running a Zarya, so they kind of wash each other out. The only thing I'd be a little concerned about is your Zarya's just got to be careful not to ult when their Genji's doing a deflect, but that I wouldn't be overly concerned about that, but it's just something I'd be pointing out or being slightly wondering about. Other than that, though, surprising. I'm a little surprised to see both teams running an Ana and a Mercy. I don't know. I feel like both teams are overhealing a little bit. However, I'm a little bit more okay with it on this team comp just because you can kind of expect Mercy to be on Pharah. So, you know, asking a Lucio or a Zen to cover two tanks and a Genji could be difficult. With your guys' team comp, it's it's pretty stationary other than you as a Winston. So I think you guys could get away with a Lucio or a Zen a little bit more. And having a Zen for the Ana to cover the Pharah could be a little bit more helpful just for the Discord orb. But let's see how this all plays out here and see what happens. Okay, so Zarya does a good job covering their Mercy. You do a good job of backing out when you know the fight's not going to go in your favor. You're not going to get any kind of picks. You do a good job getting out of there. That was good play by everybody. You did what you were supposed to do there. Zarya did what they were supposed to do. Okay. Let's rewind just a little bit here. Okay, so you put your bubble down right here. Why? Why put a bubble down right now? No, none of them. You can see Winston, you can see Genji, and you can see Mercy, and they're all. Oh, you can even see Zarya, and they're all looking that way. Nobody's paying any attention to you right now. So what's the purpose of a bubble? If you wait 2-3 seconds more and get a little bit more on top of them, and then put your bubble down, you're keeping all of these guys from being able to shoot at the rest of your team because your bubble's down. It keeps it up longer and at a more effective and opportune time because you're also a little bit back on them. If you get a little bit closer, drop your bubble down, it's going to kind of block their line of sight to them being able to shoot at your team, which is all right here. And then it'll also give you more time to kind of play the in and out so that they can't really shoot you as much. Now, granted, that bubble's not going to last long doing it that way, but it's going to be a more effective bubble because I'm guessing you're going to put your bubble down. They're going to realize, oh, crap, the Winston's behind us, and then you're going to just jump out, and that bubble's going to end up not really covering or doing anything. That's what I'm expecting to happen, so let's see what happens. Yeah, see that bubble didn't do anything. They're not really reacting to you very much, but they almost got you as you were diving out. And for some reason your team's not healing you. And for having two main healers, that's really bad. And now as we can see, this is a completely lost fight. So anybody that's still alive, the Reinhardt, which I think we can kind of see on our screen, and the soldier, they should just be looking at getting out of dodge. Okay, Reinhardt couldn't get away. The soldier's hanging back, which is what he should be doing. He's trying to pick away a little bit, which I would advise not to, because any team that's paying any attention would know that it's only the soldier by himself, and they can easily push 3 up on the soldier, still be moving the cart at full speed, and then also staggering your attack or your next defense. So tell your soldier next time to just hold back and not poke. The enemy team didn't do that, which is good for you guys, but a better team would probably have done that. So right now, they've got a full momentum on you guys here. Better bubble. Okay, that was a good time to ult. You were starting to get kind of low. I'd question who you were choosing to beat up on, though. You woke up the I think you woke up the Winston. That probably wasn't the best thing in the world to do. But this is another lost fight. Your whole team got wiped, I think, except for you at this point, or maybe there might be one other. Okay, Mercy reses. I'm okay with Mercy doing like a 1-2 person res. However, here, I don't know. I think you're just going to get melted. Because I didn't see you guys getting any picks here. It's good that, in a way, this could work, but I don't think it's going to. The reason why I say that, I'm expecting them to pick off the Mercy and melt you pretty quick, because Winston's not the strongest of tanks in terms of taking damage. So I get the logic behind it. Okay, let's pause the cart, give everybody else a chance to respawn and get back onto the battlefield, I think is the reason for it. But I don't know. I feel like this is just going to put you guys down 4-6 again. Let's see what happens rather than just pause and talk. Let's just see how this plays out. Because maybe it'll end up working. Because I did kind of say that they don't really have any obvious counters to you. So maybe you're able to survive. Actually, it might. Yeah, it looks like you were able to survive. So
Yeah.
that's good, though. That's a good bubble.
Oh, lucky. Winston's really low. Someone can help me out. No.
One thing I'd be calling for out of you, jump up onto this top platform and kind of survey down onto the enemy. And if you find anybody's kind of low, do a jump off of here, because if you jump and land in the near vicinity of anybody, that does a little bit of damage to them. And then on top of that, you can start picking away at people that are low damage, because Winston's not a big damage dealer in his own right. So if you can kind of take advantage of his jump a little bit more. And then on top of that, if you can kind of bubble a little bit more towards either the back line or towards the back of the objective, the cart, that will limit what they're able to shoot at, which will, you know, give your team a little bit more of a chance at picking away at the enemy. That would be something I'd be looking at. You'll be able to kind of survey the battlefield a little bit more. See, this is good here.
Behind you guys.
You brought the Farah to about half health. However, your team wasn't able to finish her off, which is unfortunate. Let me go back and look. I wasn't looking when you ulted there.
Oh, behind you guys.
Okay. Okay, you ulted here. I want to try to see if I can get a better shot of the battlefield, though. So it looks like they've got roughly about 3 of them on it. I mean, we obviously know they have 3 because of this, but I was trying to see if we could see some more people maybe in the background or something. So they've got a Farah, a Mercy, and I'm not sure who that is back there. And you ult at about 60-some% health. And you're purple, so you can't get healed. So you're stuck at, let's just say, 60 and down. I don't like your ult choice here because she can go up, she can follow her up, and then you're stuck on whoever that is. I'm not sure who that even is. So who are you knocking off the point? And I would say you're not low enough yet to be ulting, because really Winston's ult in a case of this scenario is one of 2 things in my opinion. One, your team's about to get, the cart's about to get pushed to the final objective and the match is going to end. They've got 3 or more people on the objective and they're pushing it. So you ult to start knocking everybody off of it to try to buy time. Or the other scenario is you're about to die, maybe your healers are down or they're focused on other people, so you ult to stay alive longer because you go from, let's say, 100 hit points are down all the way to 1,000, so you basically bought yourself another life. None of those 2 are really happening here, and you've got no obvious targets to be knocking off the point. So, in my opinion, play a little passively here. Just keep yourself on the cart so they can't push it. Maybe put a bubble down on it so that a Farah can't jump up and then start raining down on you a whole lot. And just wait. Wait for one of those scenarios to happen and then pop your ult. Because right here, I'm guessing this ult's not going to do anything. Let's see if I'm right. So the Farah ends up killing herself, but she got your Mercy. Okay, so that must have been Anna. So you got Anna, which is okay. But I don't know that you needed to ult necessarily to do that. So at this point, the enemy team, they know that this is a lost fight. Can you take out the Mercy? Ooh, that's really unfortunate. The Mercy got away there.
Just chasing them away.
So it looks like both teams are kind of reloading, gonna push in together. How good would it have been to have your ult here? So now they've got a Genji. Oh, they've had a Genji. What am I talking about? Okay, wait a minute here. What? I don't know why you bubbled over there. I don't think we're going to get another shot of it. But that I don't know why you bubbled there. That was a poor bubble. That bubble's not doing anything for anybody. I would have been bubbling right here. This bubble would have been blocking pretty much everybody. Now, granted, it would have went down pretty quickly, but it's still a lot more effective than what you did.
Okay,
You're doing a good job with your target priority for the most part. You're making the Mercy's job not easy. Okay, she solo res the Ana, so they're back. They got double healing again. Okay, now the good news is you have your ult. Mercy reses only Reaper. That's okay though. I think that was another res you probably could have gone without. However, the Reaper did a good job. He took out 2 people, and those are 2 good kills. If you can get a Reaper to kill a Pharah and a Genji, that's pretty good. Those aren't the easiest kills for a Reaper. Your guys' Mercy is down. Now you have a Lucio, which is good for just, you know, kind of holding the point. You guys do have to kind of play a faster dive comp at this point, just to keep them off of it. That's a good bubble. I like that one. Pretty good use of your ult here. The fight's kind of not going in your guys' favor. I think you could have maybe waited a couple more seconds to use it. I guess I'd have to go back to look at what exactly your hit points were, but overall, though, that's a pretty good use of your ult. That's unfortunate you didn't have your shield there. You did about all you really could, though. Reaper's kind of holding it on his own. They haven't noticed him yet. He's probably wraithed at this point. Surprisingly, he survived. I don't know how that team didn't pick him up after that. He must have wraithed. Reaper's doing a good job, though. He took out the Winston. Pharah for Pharah. There goes. Oh, that's a good res. That's a really good res. Genji took out Lucio. Everybody's ulting. Pharah or Mercy just resed Pharah and Genji. You took out Zarya. Oh boy. Okay, wait a minute here. So you're trying to get this Mercy and she just baits you. Now, as you're falling down, I'm not the best Winston player. I don't know his dynamics like the back of my hand like I do other heroes, but I think you can do this. And somebody in the comments watching this, maybe that plays Winston a little bit more than me, can maybe comment on this a little better than I am. But I think you can do this. So anybody in the comments, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong with this. But I think as soon as you knew you were falling, I think you could have popped your ult and jumped out of that. Now I know that would have been a really quick reaction to do, but if you're playing Winston in a like a tournament style game, I would assume you have enough time on a Winston to have practiced something like that or to know if something like that's possible. And I think you can get away with doing that. So that would be kind of like that next level Winston play that you need to do to really, you know, like you're like a lower to mid-level platinum player. Like if you want to get up the ranks, you got to come up with those little sneaky tricks to combat some of that randomness that can go against you. And I'm almost positive something like that could have been done there to keep you alive. Now, is that the optimal time to use an ult? Not really, but at the same time, at least you're still alive at that point, and that does kind of fit one of the 2 scenarios I said to use a Winston ult. If you're about to die, pop it. I think that would have saved you, but that would have been some really quick thinking. So, And I could be wrong, and maybe that wouldn't have saved you anyway, and then on top of that, you would have wasted an ult and still died. But I think that would have happened, or I think that could have worked. You guys are still holding, though. Doing a good job on your target priorities. You're harassing the Ana, and you should get her. You did. This looks like a fight your team should win now. Good job on the Farah. The only thing that I really have against your target priority, I like that you're on the healers. Harassing healers is important.
Nice.
The only thing I would encourage more is it doesn't seem like much of your team is harassing healers aside from you. And your first target priority should be Genji. And I didn't see you harassing the Genji as much, but there's a caveat to that, because if nobody's harassing the healers, you harassing a Genji won't matter as much because he's just going to get healed. So I think there's a little bit of target priority coaching to be done for your team in a general sense. If they do a little bit better of a job of harassing the healers, you could harass the Genji and kind of keep him at bay. But because that wasn't happening, you kind of had to focus the healers. So your target priority is good with that in consideration. However, that could be something to look at. So this looks like you've got a set team comp. Let's take a look. So we're on attack. We've got a Widow for trying to get some quick picks. We've got a speed boost to get out of the choke. We've got a Farah Mercy combo, which is good. I was saying that earlier, that this is a good attack map for a Farah, at least in the beginning. Actually, it's actually pretty good for the whole way through. The only thing I'm a little concerned about is I'm trying to think here if this is actually something to be concerned about or not. I was going to say I'm a little concerned there isn't a Reinhardt shield, but the more I think about it, I don't know who would really utilize it too much. I mean, the Lucio probably would, and the Zarya probably would, but if you put a Reinhardt with a Zarya and a Lucio, you guys kind of run into a bit of a mobility issue outside of just the Pharah. And yeah, I think actually the more I think about it, I think this comp can work. I think I like it. I think it can work. The only thing is if the Widow, if she can get picks or not. But I'm assuming if not, they're gonna switch off because this is a set 6-for-6 team comp. So got the little Winston dance. I like it.
What? No, mate. You're going to have to ask for help. Mate, I'm going to comp all day until I get to as high as I can. So, that's what, 8 matches is?
Let's fast forward just a little bit here.
Win this, come on. It's possible.
It's definitely possible. Okay. Pause here for a second. I'm hoping that audio is getting picked up pretty well, but that Lucio giving you a countdown for a speed boost, that's a good thing. I like that. You don't hear that a whole lot. The only thing I'm wondering is who's he really speed boosting? Other than the Zarya, and maybe you got a couple seconds of it, I don't know who he's really speed boosting, because the Farah should be in the sky with the Mercy. So that's the only thing. I think you guys could have maybe got away with maybe a Zenyatta for the Lucio, just because I don't really know who's going to benefit from him too much other than the Zarya. He's going to have to be glued to the Zarya, but I think you could maybe get a little bit better healing out of a Zenyatta with the Discord Orb. But it's not the worst pick in the world either. And I think having a Lucio in the later parts of this game are going to work out a little bit better. So
Mercy down, Mercy down. Get the Tracer, she's
it's a good bubble.
No, Tracer down. Tracer down.
So they're running a Tracer. That should be an easy person for you to pick. There's also a Zenyatta So there's a lot of targets for you to be able to get. The
push-
76 is
push
another
up.
one you should be able to harass. There's quite a few targets here to benefit as you being a Winston. So you're keeping them off the point. Okay, now they are running a Roadhog. That's a direct counter
worries,
to
I can
you.
just
So
keep saying it's fine.
that's worrisome there. Ooh. Let's rewind to see this team comp because we didn't really get to see what the enemy was running. I mean, we kind of have a good idea of what they're running, but I always like to talk team comps on the tab screen. There we go. Perfect. All right, so let's focus first on you as a Winston and then on the rest of the team comp. So you're a good counter to her, it, him, and her. So here's the thing that I would be communicating to my team. First of all, I'd be wanting the Widow to switch at this point to something that can counter the Roadhog. Right now, you guys have nothing to counter this Roadhog. You guys have to address that. Because unless the Zarya is keeping a really high charge, she can melt a Roadhog if that's the case. But if that's not the case, you guys have nothing. Because, and the reason I say that, the Roadhog should be playing behind the Reinhardt shield, leaving her with nothing to shoot at but a shield. And to ask a Widow to pick off a Tracer, a Zenyatta behind a Reinhardt shield, a 76 behind a Reinhardt shield, she's got no obvious target priority other than a shield breaking role, and that's not the best thing for a Widow to be doing. First, I want the Widow to switch. And I would want her to switch to something that can pick off the Roadhog or make Roadhog's life harder. And here's why I'm harping so much on the Roadhog. He's got the Reinhardt shield to hide behind, and he can just throw hooks behind it at everybody. And there's nothing you guys can do about it because he's going to be hiding behind a shield. So it's immediately a break or a Reinhardt shield thing. And you guys have nothing to hide behind to deal with a Roadhog hook other than maybe the payload or something like that. So Roadhog's going to be really OP if you guys don't address that. Now, here's why your team comp could work outside of Widow. If Zarya's on point with her bubbles and she just times him on whoever the Roadhog hooks, that will make his life a lot more difficult. But that's asking a lot of Zarya to consistently be doing that. But if you're playing Zarya and you've got a silver border with 4 stars and they're getting close to halfway to their 5th star, is that so much to ask of a Zarya? I'd be curious to know what their SR is. But that in its own right is very doable. However, I would still want the Widow to switch to something that directly counters a Reaper or a Roadhog. So what counters a Roadhog in this kind of a scenario? Well, there's a few things we could do, and I'm trying to think what would be the best one for this scenario. One, you could throw out a Reinhardt just to throw up a shield so that he's got less chances to hook something. That could maybe work. But it doesn't do anything for you as a Winston because you're going to dive in and then the Reinhardt shield's not going to do a whole lot. You'd have to kind of work the bubble in with the Roadhog hook. Not ideal. A Zenyatta would be good if you can break the shield, then you discord Roadhog, and Zenyatta can counter a Roadhog as long as he can keep distance and as long as you can keep the Tracer at bay. A Zenyatta could maybe work. A McCree could maybe work. Otherwise, you're going to have to do more of a divey comp, like a Genji or a Tracer, if you guys have a good one of them, just to kind of keep the Roadhog spinning around and looking all over the place and not just sitting comfortably behind a Roadhog, sorry, I'm saying all the wrong heroes today, a Reinhardt shield. The Pharah can be a good counter to the Roadhog if she can keep enough distance and not get hooked herself. But if he is throwing hooks up into the sky at a Pharah, that makes your life a little bit easier as a Winston. So let's see how this plays out. But the first thing I'm really looking for is the sniper to switch. See if that happens or not. Now she's probably gonna have to die before that happens. The other thing actually that could really work here, and I don't know why I didn't think of this until now, is actually if you guys worked a Bastion into this particular team comp could have worked out pretty well. The only thing you really have to worry much about would be a Tracer, but you as a Winston could kind of keep her occupied. Not the worst ult in the world, but I would have liked to have maybe seen you get a little lower in your hit points before you used that. So the sniper got the Zenyatta. Pharah is doing quite a bit of work. Pharah is carrying right now. Good job taking out the Tracer, though. And then you've helped finish off the Reinhardt.
Right, I'm pushing up.
Okay, Widow's still working. I mean, she got a pick. But the thing is she got a really easy pick. Widow picking off a Zenyatta. I mean, that's even in like the Blizzard movies. So, ooh, that's unfortunate. All right, one thing I want to cover here. So the Widow's got high ground. I like her positioning. I still don't like you guys having the Widow, but okay, right here. So it's unfortunate that Tracer sticky bombs you, pulse bombs you. This is what I don't like about it. Like, okay, you're basically at half health, a little over it, but basically half health. Why are you jumping back towards your team? Like, if your team was even in this vicinity, you just became a kamikaze bomber for your own team. Now, luckily, they're all the way back here, so it doesn't matter. But if you should have just stayed put or jumped, or if your team was closer, jumped back that way. Like, you could have been very detrimental to your team had they have been closer. So for anybody watching this and you get sticky bombed by a Tracer, do not run back to your team. That's how a Tracer ult turns in from a good ult to a great ult to a devastating ult, depending on who she ults and what they do once they get sticky bombed. If you get sticky bombed, you're likely either dead anyway or you're going to be very low health. So don't run towards your team. Run the opposite way or stay put, because the rest of your team, if they're competent, they'll run away from you. But how many times have you had it in a comp game where somebody gets sticky bombed and then they still continue to run at you and then they just turn into a ticking time bomb, a disaster? And that's what you almost became, had they have been closer. So be careful of that. I'm actually a little bit surprised Tracer decided to do that, though. Kind of would have advised her to do that a little bit later, but it still worked. Oh, you're Lucio. I'm guessing he just booped both tanks off the map. Oh. I wish I could have seen that, but that's a great Lucio play if he did that, or maybe they were both just low and he got a double.
Helping you.
Either way, that's still really good. I'm guessing because of the kill feed only had Lucio on there, he got a double boop.
He's down.
Alright, good job on the Winston. Roadhog's ulting to keep you guys desperately off the point. That's a good bubble right there. The Roadhog, I'm surprised he's not countering you better. We haven't seen, I don't think we've seen him hook you yet. So my concern might have been for nothing. I mean, in a maybe a more competent enemy team, they could have worked that out better. Because really, he's the only thing for you to have to worry about other than maybe a Reinhardt charge. But, yeah.
One down.
And he's not, and I don't think he got one single hook on you. I haven't really seen the Roadhog get much of anything for kills, so It looks like now we've got D.Va, so I'm wondering if the Roadhog switched to D.Va. And I'd be okay with that in a scenario like this just because the Roadhog's struggling so much. Maybe they're not a Roadhog player and they just got asked to play him or something. So that's a pretty good ult. You're trying to just knock him off the point. Okay, Tracer wasted her pulse bomb.
We got this, we got this. I'll get in on them.
If you guys can melt the enemy team just a little bit faster, this should definitely go in your guys' favor.
Mercy down, Mercy
okay,
down.
Good job with the Mercy. You should be able to... Oh, that's unfortunate. D.Va got you, because you would have had Zenyatta and they would have had no healing. The Widow's holding you guys... Oh, she got Tracer. I still feel like the Widow's holding you guys back. I think you guys could get a little bit more DPS out of that slot, but her getting Tracer, that's a good pick. The Widow's almost dead, and she is dead. The D.Va dived her. I think that, yeah, they were also running a Winston, so Widow's pretty heavily countered right now by the D.Va and the Winston. You know, 2 out of 3 of their tanks really aren't doing what they should be doing. I haven't really noticed their Winston diving your Widow much, and then I never noticed their Roadhog really trying to keep you at bay from everything else that you counter. So for them to be running triple tank, they're really playing pretty poorly. Because that Winston just dived on you. He should be diving on the sniper, assuming you guys are still running a sniper. You guys might have switched to that Reaper now, which is that's a good switch. That's a good res by their Mercy. They got the Winston, Ryan, and Zenyatta. Reaper took out Zenyatta, which is a good pick for the Reaper. Their Tracer took out your Mercy, so...
Ryan is so low.
If I were you, I'd be looking for that Tracer to make sure she's not... Oh,
no!
Boy, you just... That's the second time that happened to you. You gotta really look out for that a little bit more. Oh, actually, wait. Wait a minute. Oh, I didn't pick that... I saw that pretty late. It actually looks like the Winston booped you off the map. I want to watch this again. Is that what happened here? So you're up top. You dive down.
Ryan is so low.
So you're right on the edge. Oh.
No!
Oh, that's some pretty cheeky Winston play. The Winston just booped you. Okay. I thought you kind of fell off by just like, you know, hitting like maybe A and S together. You kind of doing like a diagonal move and you just kind of hit the edge and fell off. I didn't pick that up at first, but that Winston booped you off. I like that. That Winston, that was pretty good. I don't know if he tried to do that on purpose or not, but that worked out really well for him. Ooh, hold on. Let's look at what the team comp is here. We're gonna get that. Shoot.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's look at what everything, some switches have been made. Let's look at what we've got. So, alright, we finally got the Widow to switch, and they're going Reaper. I like the Reaper switch here because there's nothing on the map that really concerns him other than Tracer. So the Tracer's job right now is to harass Reaper. Other than that, Reaper's got free reign on everything. He's got to keep distance from Reinhardt a little bit, just a little though. He, in my opinion, is a strong counter to D.Va as long as he plays mind games with the defensive matrix and doesn't just blow all his shots into the defense matrix. I have a lot of time on Reaper, and I'm really excited for the buffs coming his way. I'm probably going to become a Reaper main again once those new changes to him take effect that are currently in the PTR. The health steal buff is what I'm talking about. If you don't know what I'm talking about, any damage he does, currently this is in the PTR, currently any damage a Reaper does, say he does 100 damage to a D.Va mech, he gets 20 hit points healing done back to him for every 100 damage he does to a diva, or, you know, do the math, 20% of whatever damage he's dealing out every shot that he does. So when he does his Death Blossom, he just becomes a self-healing tank, basically. I can't wait for those changes to take place. I've got over 90 hours of Reaper just in quick play alone. That was all before even Season 1 took place, so I have a lot of time on Reaper. I can't wait for those changes to take place. But anyway, Reaper counters just about everything on this map other than Mercy. Mercy's a harder target for him to kill. Not that he can't kill a Mercy, he can, but Mercy's a little trickier to kill. And then Tracer obviously can be a little tricky to kill if the Tracer does a good job keeping distance. Everything else here, though, these three specifically, he counters very well. And Reinhardt he can kill as long as the Reinhardt's not focusing the Reaper. Everything else, though, he's got free reign. That's a good pick right here. If the Reinhardt does focus the Reaper, I would be looking for the Zarya just to bubble Reaper. I like everything else going on here. At this point, you need to be on Tracer. You need to be glued on her, because that's really the only thing you guys don't have covered outside of you as a Winston. So I'd be looking for you to really be hunting down this Tracer, keeping on her. Once the Tracer's not a problem, I would say keep on the Zenyatta and keep on the Mercy. I would almost say maybe keep on the Mercy more than the Zenyatta, but the Zenyatta is an easier target for you, so I could maybe, given what your SR is at, seeing you focus on the Zenyatta a little bit more. And that's not the worst person to be dealing with, but I would say really focus on the Mercy. Focus 1 on Tracer, 2 on Mercy, 3 on Zenyatta, and then the tanks, you know, do what you can on them. But if I see you dealing with tanks even significantly more than any of those other three, that's a bad target priority for you. That's really for these two to be doing, and then the Zarya just to be doing whatever damage she can to whoever she can. Right clicking and left clicking when needed. But really she should be on the Diva first, and then I'd probably say either the Reinhardt or the Winston next. Yeah. So let's see how this goes. And I notice you've got a lot of golds and silver, so you're definitely doing what you should be doing as a Winston.
Okay.
I'm actually a little bit surprised the Pharah's not out killing you, but that's good that you're beating her in terms of you.
Take advantage, take advantage.
Okay, you're on the Tracer, or you started to, and then you kind of fell back a little bit. You dived. Now you're on the Zenyatta. See, what did I just say? Okay, but however, Reaper took out your first 2 targets. So, I'll forgive it. I'll forgive it. Although I don't think that was an intentional thing for you to be diving on the Zenyatta knowing the Reaper did that. I think that just kind of played out in your favor a little bit. Alright, good job helping on the Diva mech. The Winston's ulting. So there's not a lot you're going to be able to do. I would have probably focused a little bit more on the Reinhardt, just because there's nothing you're going to do to an ulting Winston. Absolutely nothing. Now, okay, you're on Baby Diva. Oh, I don't know why you dived off the Baby Diva. You could have took her out. She's still alive, too.
No.
That was poor target priority. I forgot to talk about Baby Diva, actually. Baby Diva should be pretty high on your target priority too once she is out of mech.
Where is she?
She's dead now though. So now we just have Reinhardt. Not a lot you're going to be able to do to him, but you should still be shooting on him. They've got a Pharah now. You helped take her out. That's good. You be on the Zenyatta. Good, you did. Oh, that's a hell of a res. That's a 3-person res. You're on. Ooh, you got charged. Still alive though. You're on Mercy. You got Mercy. That's good. However, she just res, so too bad you couldn't do that a little earlier. All right, you helped with the Winston. Diva. Farah didn't do anything for some reason. The Lucio killed himself. Mercy's back alive, but she's not going to do anything at that point. This should be an easy win now. Reaper took out D.Va. You know, I don't...
Get off my point, you mother bastards! Get off it!
Ooh, I think you knocked somebody off. Yeah, you got Lucio knocked off. That's a good boop. Winston's still on it. Can he hold it?
Where's the nurse?
Nope. Yeah, he kind of dived off of the point. I don't know why he did that. They tried to switch to a Mei to hold it, but yeah, he was too late on that. I do want to talk about one thing that the enemy team did that I don't really like. You know, they switched. The Roadhog was struggling, so he switched, and I get that, and that part I like, but who they switched to, I don't like. You know, I don't really know what that defense matrix was going to do for them being a D.Va, because you can shoot through it, the Zarya can shoot through it. You know, Pharah at the top raining down on them, you know, if they're looking up, they're not really paying much attention to what's just straight in front of them. The D.Va's just not a good pick there, so you guys were able to take advantage of that pretty well. You know, it's like, it's one of those situations where I always say, if you're a tank main, if you're a DPS main, if you're a healer main, you got to be good at more than just one or two heroes in the class as a whole, because say you struggle at Roadhog. Roadhog was a good pick, and honestly they should have stayed Roadhog, but if they're struggling, somebody else should have played the Roadhog. They should have done something else than D.Va. If they're not good at anything else than those two heroes, or maybe, you know, Reinhardt, but they already had a Reinhardt, you got to have more mobility or more flexibility into who you pick. And in a case like that, maybe just running a double tank would have benefited them more. Maybe. But really, they needed a switch there. The D.Va wasn't what they needed. I really would have liked to see them still running a Roadhog. I think that would have gave you guys a lot more trouble. But for whatever reason, you guys were able to make it a non-issue. So kudos to you and your team for making the Roadhog a non-issue. A couple things that I picked up. Your target priority's okay, but your team's target priority I think could use a little bit more work. I would have liked to have seen you focus a little bit more on the Tracers and the Genjis of the game rather than the healers first. But being on the healers isn't the worst target priority in the world. Just if you can get somebody else to harass the healing a little bit more so that you can harass some of the more mobile heroes, I think that would have worked out a little bit more in your guys' favor. Your choices in bubbling were, I would say, slightly above average. Like, I'd give you maybe like a B- on that. I think there were times you popped it too early, and there were times you put it in great positioning. So just be a little bit more conscious of when and why you're bubbling. Kind of have the thought process, you know, okay, I know I got a bubble. When am I going to pop it down? When am I going to hold on to it for a couple extra seconds? Kind of keep that in the back of your mind. And maybe just kind of survey battles a little bit more. Sit up top, kind of figure out who's a little weak and a little squishy that you can dive down on. See if you can take a little bit more advantage of Winston's jump damage ability, and then pop your shield down on top of a battle, and see if you can finish off somebody that might already be at like a 50% and lower. Didn't see you do that a whole lot. And then the only other thing is, there were times you ulted at good times, and there were times you popped it a little too early. So the same thing with the bubbling. Just kind of be a little bit more cognizant of when to ult as a Winston. And in terms of your first point defense, I think that needs a lot of work if you're going to try that double turret thing again. I would suggest just getting away from that altogether. Any respectable team's going to eat right through that. So really, I'm just going to focus on your Winston play. But yeah, so this is episode 7. I hope you guys learned a few things. And I'll see you guys for episode 8.